Welcome to 5 Good Minutes. You're listening to today's inspirational message on the names and titles of Jesus with Dan Shields.
Welcome to 5 Good Minutes. My name is Dan Shields, and I head up the Worship Arts Department here at Orchard Hill Church, and it is good to be together today. Today, we're going to continue looking at the titles of Jesus by looking at the name Jesus called himself in John chapter 6. He says in verse 35, I am the bread of life. My wife, she's an excellent cook. I really married up when it comes to food. It wasn't something I ever expected. I grew up in a house where my mom didn't make much homemade food. So my fare growing up was TV dinners and Dinty Moore beef stew and SpaghettiOs and macaroni and cheese. But my wife, she grew up in the old country, and she had a knack of being able to make just about anything into an amazing meal. It's a blessing I never expected, but I'm always so grateful for. And one of my favorites is when she makes homemade bread. I love that wonderful smell that fills the house when she bakes it. And there's nothing quite like cutting a slice of steaming hot bread right out of the oven and slathering it in butter and jam. You know, throughout most every culture and every era of mankind, we find bread is one of the essential foods. It's not just a staple and life-giving food, but it's enjoyed as an Epicurean delight. That is, it has a functional purpose, but it also brings great joy. In the book of John, we find many unique teachings not found in the other 3 synoptic gospels. Of those is the 7 I am statements. It's Jesus telling his listeners some unique characteristics about who he is and what he was here to accomplish. In them, he uses metaphors that describe certain attributes of his character and his role in life and redemption. He talks about being the bread of life, the light of the world, the door, the good shepherd, the resurrection and the life, the way, the truth, and the life, and the vine. Chapter 6 begins with the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. And the title is actually a bit of a misnomer, though, because it says there were 5,000 men, plus women and children. So there could have easily been more than double that. We all know the story. Many in the crowd followed him to hear his amazing teaching. They said that he didn't simply teach in a religious or intellectual way, but that he taught with power and authority, not like the teachers of the law and the Pharisees. And there were others in the crowd who may have been hoping to see a miracle. They wanted to see a show, a spectacle. And there were likely some, the enemy in the ranks, who were hoping to catch him in some kind of blasphemy. As Jesus looked around, though, it was getting late, and the people were far from home, and they were tired, and they were hungry, and he had pity on them. But there may have been something more. He may have wanted the masses to witness the type of miracle that had not been seen for almost 1,500 years, since God miraculously gave the bread of heaven to the wandering Israelites that they called manna, the spiritual food. In a very real way, this miracle mirrored that incredible event, producing bread for hungry Jews from 5 small sandwich buns. It filled their empty bellies, but it also validated him as something much more than a mere mortal. It was a miracle of epic proportions that made a huge statement of who this Jesus really was. Later in the chapter, he uttered the words, I am the bread of life. What did he mean by that? And what does that mean for us today? First, I think, is the idea that bread is life-giving. It is sustenance. It harkens to his statement later in the chapter where he calls himself the life. No other teacher in history can make that claim. In it, he is making the not-so-subtle claim to deity. He's saying, without me, there is no life. He not only came to give us life and life abundantly, but the Bible teaches that he's also the creator and sustainer of all life, that he holds the keys to eternal life. That is, that no man comes to heaven but by him. And shockingly, hidden in the first 2 words of his I am statements, he is making a claim that we English speakers can often overlook, but it was not lost to the Hebrews listening to him. The form of the words that he used for I am are the exact same phrase that God the Father spoke to their forefather Moses when he asked at the burning bush, "Who shall I say you are?" And the Lord answered, tell them, I am the I am. When Jesus said the 7 I am statements, he began with the claim, I am. I am God himself. I am the creator, the sustainer, the designer, the life giver, and the judge of all that is and all that has breath. So what's that mean for us today? It means that he is in ultimate control, that he is sovereign, and that he alone can keep and sustain us. And as we place our hopes and trust in him, he will give us the very bread of life.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.